Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be discussing and reacting to the Ohio State versus Youngstown State football game. If you're new to the channel, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of run you through my emotions of how things went throughout the game, where were my highs, where were my lows, things I thought about the game, what kind of things they need to clean up, and what kind of things they need to capitalize on. I have a few notes here that I'm going to kind of go over just thing by thing, but without further ado, as always, if you're going to enjoy, drop a like, and without further ado, let's get into it. All right, first thing up, let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of a bad thing. And this can kind of group in two things at the same time. Let's start off with the offensive line. And this kind of is the offensive line and the running game. Now, when it comes to the offensive line, last week against Indiana, they've kind of shown themselves, especially this week, because I believe they beat the shit out of their opponent. Yeah, I just checked. Indiana beat their team. They played Indiana State. They won 41-7, which shows that Indiana is not really a pushover this year. If they were still a pushover, they would have probably beaten Indiana State like 20-3. 21-7, something like that. Now, when it comes to what we expect out of fans at Ohio State, and we may sound privileged, but it's what we've seen over the past decade and a half, maybe even 50 years, offensive lines are supposed to be good at Ohio State. And this offensive line just is not what we expected. I realize everybody that was on the offensive line last year has been kind of subbed out, switched around. I think only like 2 guys from last year have been brought back. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But this offensive line just isn't it. Now, I know somebody in the comments is going to say, you're wrong. This offensive line looked pretty damn good. They let Kyle McCord throw some deep bombs down the field. They allowed the running game to get going. Yeah, they allowed the running game to get going against Youngstown State. And the one thing with the running game that I do kind of question, why are we not getting like a primary guy that's running the ball? Like, I'm looking here at the depth chart. Travion Henderson had 5 carries for 56 yards. Pretty good. Mike Williams has 6 carries for 25 yards. Chip Trainum had 6 carries for 20 yards. And Xavier Johnson then went to have 3 carries for 12 yards. It's like we're spreading the wealth around to all these guys, which I see nothing wrong with it when you're playing a bad team. But what happens whenever we play Notre Dame? Are we going to have Travion have the very first carry, then here comes Mike Williams, and then if it's a passing down, Chip Trainum's going to be in there, and then so on? Like, we need to establish a number 1 back. I don't care if it's Mike Williams or Travion Henderson, or if Chip Trainum or Xavier Johnson. I don't care who it is. I prefer Travion Henderson because he seems like the most elite back out of the group. We just need to pick someone. And we saw throughout the game, the running game did seem like it got a little bit better this week, but we did still see, it seems like Ryan Day is struggling with his play calling. He's trying to do those stretch runs out to the outside, and a lot of times he likes to do them on the short side of the field, which in theory, it might work, but in this offense, it's not working because the defense they have less room to cover over there, and they're just coming down and just crashing, and we're always losing like a yard every single time we run the ball over there. Now let's move on to the passing side of things. Kyle McCord, could he have just had a bad game against Indiana? It could. There was a lot of people that were saying on Twitter, and I was keeping up with it, Kyle McCord looked a lot better than today, and I agree. Looking at his stat right now, he went 14-20, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 90 QBR. That's a pretty damn good game. It's not like an elite game. It's a good game. And Kyle McCord, and especially another guy, Marvin Harrison Jr., they wasted no time to settle in. Because let me go ahead and just scroll right down here. Yeah, Marvin Harrison, 7 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. Buddy went off. And he wasn't the only one to make some noise. Emeka Egbuka, 5 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. And they got a little bit of everybody involved. The running backs got involved a little bit. Julian Fleming had 3 catches. Cardinal Tate had a big catch. I believe it was like a deep corner route. He got involved a little bit. The thing with this offense is last week against Indiana, there was everybody that were just screaming their heads off saying, just throw the ball to Marvin Harrison and let him do the rest. I think Kyle took the advice this week because I think it wasn't even 3 plays in, and Marvin Harrison cooked the hell out of the corner, was running down the sideline, and Kyle luckily saw him and just said, fuck it. Kyle put a nice spin on the ball, got it to Marvin, and Marvin just took it the rest of the way to the house. I think it was like 71 yards to the crib, easy 7 points. Now, with this quarterback battle, I want to just very briefly go over this. When are we going to pick a quarterback? Like, is it going to be Kyle McCord or is it going to be Devin Brown, Ryan Day? Because like I said with Kyle McCord's stat line, Devin Brown also had an okay game. 7 of 13, 101 yards, didn't have a touchdown, no interceptions either. I just hope we don't get, and here's the big thing with this team. Notre Dame is going to be the benchmark of where we need to have our whole depth chart finalized. That means running backs, receivers, quarterback, especially quarterback, defensive players, everybody needs to be finalized in their spots by then. Because we can't go into that Notre Dame game shuffling players around, debating on who, oh, maybe we'll try you today, oh, maybe we'll try you. Because at this point, it seems like the locker room, they're looking at both guys and they're saying, hey, we support both of them, we like both of them, but they need a guy. And I think all the receivers will tell you the same thing. They want to know who is their number one quarterback, who is the guy, who is the number one leading this room. And for some reason, Ryan Day can't just make a damn decision. At this point, next week, I believe Ohio State plays Western Kentucky. If he doesn't make a decision after that game, it's going to be a rough-ass season. Now, one last thing I want to go ahead and cover, the defense. The defense played pretty damn good, aside from that one drive where Youngstown State went down the field and scored. I don't understand how the fuck that went down. That drive I'm not even going to get into. It was just a very funky drive. Besides that drive, the defense played great. Got a couple sacks. I believe they almost got a fumble once. Almost got a couple interceptions that should have been picks. They did have the one interception. But other than that, it seemed like they played a pretty sound defense. Didn't really try to smother Youngstown State, but they were just kind of keeping everything in front, and they were just controlling the game the whole entire way. The problem with that is, if you're going to play this kind of way against a Youngstown State, how are you going to play against a team like a Georgia, Michigan, an Alabama, USC, these teams that you could possibly see in the college football playoff? How are you going to play against them? I just think, put it this way. If by next week against Western Kentucky, if the final score is not like 52-3 or 49-0 in that game, that Notre Dame game is going to be a rough one, boys. But other than that, that's all I got to discuss for today's video. If you're an Ohio State fan, let me know what you think about the whole game down in the comments. Did you think it went well? What things that I said did you disagree with, not agree with? Leave me a comment down below. Anything that you kind of maybe had a different opinion on. When it comes to the quarterback situation, maybe the way the running game was going, the defense, the receivers, anything you might have an opinion on, leave it down in the comments. As always, if you went on to enjoy today's video, make sure you do drop a like. It is always appreciated if you do so. It helps me out a lot. And if you're brand new to the channel and you want to go ahead and help out and stay up to date with all the videos that I do post here, you can go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button and make sure you go ahead and hit that little notification bell so you're notified the second I post. I've been checking out my analytics here lately, and I've noticed that some of you are not staying to the end of the videos. So if you did stay to the end of the video today, comment ice cream if you stay to the end of the video. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.